obviously here to talk a bit about the mental side of hockey and being a goalie and all that stuff. And when you hear the terms like sports psychology, mental side of being a goalie, like what's the first thing that really comes to your head?
Pretty much blocking out the distraction. I mean, you got to like allow yourself to be comfortable and play your own game without having all the pressure creep up on you. So that's usually the biggest thing when it's a tight game or a big game. Then if you don't feel just as normal and just as relaxed as you feel in practice, like it's just going to get you into trouble and you won't be playing your own game. So I think that's the biggest part, is just being confident. I mean, I think it all comes from practice habits and obviously some mental practice as well. And just kind of putting all that stuff together, and it becomes confidence, and that becomes mental strength.
Is there a point in your career where this kind of really clicked in your head, how important this whole mental side of being a goalie is to being successful?
I think my first year pro, when I was sent down to the East Coast Hockey League, and it's a tough league for goalies some nights when your team gives up on you, and it's a very offensive league, and obviously you feel like you're a long ways away from NHL and your dreams. So definitely after some of those tougher nights in that league, you kind of try to stay positive and trust the process. And it might be too much for some guys, but yeah, definitely a challenge to just kind of move it behind you and get ready for the next day.
And obviously knowing a bit about your play at the University of Minnesota and how well you did there. I mean,
Minnesota Duluth.
I got to clarify that. My bad. Minnesota Duluth. But I know you were a finalist for Goaltender of the Year as a freshman, finalist for the Mike Richter Award, all this stuff, right? Like you absolutely killed it there. And then being sent down to the ECHL, how hard of a pill was that to swallow for you? Or how did you swallow that pill, so to say?
I mean, in a way, like it made sense as an organizational decision. And we all already had a couple guys in the Marlies who had been there for a couple of years before. So obviously it was more of their spot. And as a rookie, maybe it was a good thing to like go down and play a lot of games and try to develop that way. But I mean, it was all just exciting for sure, just to be a professional now and kind of be part of the Maple Leafs and kind of show what I got. And I tried to take it as much as I could out of the being sent down and learn a lot of things. And I feel like I did.
Yeah. And obviously, like going to college, I guess you kind of a bit of a free agent, so to say, like once your college career is over. What was it specifically about the Leafs that you thought, or the Leafs organization that you thought would be the best fit for your career, and why you signed with them?
I think they just wanted me the most. That was one of the biggest parts of it. There were some other teams in the mix, but Leafs really showed interest, and at the state of the team at that time, they weren't doing that well. So kind of we felt like there's an opportunity there as well. And obviously now looking back, it would have been stupid not to sign here, with being like the hockey capital, and just kind of get to experience being part of the Leafs. It's been amazing. So that's about it. Just the interest and the opportunity, and definitely made the right choice.
Did maybe your knowledge of how crazy of a hockey city Toronto is, and amount of the media pressure that comes along with it, did that like deter you in any way from signing? Like, did that play a factor at all of maybe some hesitation, or did it not really register at all? You tried to, like you said before, the biggest part of being a goalie is blocking that stuff out, right? Was that an easy thing to block out?
I didn't, at the moment when I signed, I didn't think that, I didn't like know about the media. I didn't know, like I didn't really know about it, because to me, kind of up until that point, like Leafs were the team in Canada that just struggled, and I didn't never really knew what kind of a hockey city Toronto is, and so yeah, and that's pretty much all I know now. So
yeah,
that's my normal. That's what kind of what I think that every other team would do, or every other city, but I guess it's not that way. But yeah, I mean, it hasn't bothered me at all. It's actually been a lot of fun because there is a lot of attention, and that's kind of why we do this thing, to
exactly
be in the spotlight, and obviously no better place to do it.
Yeah, and obviously being in the spotlight, there's probably no tougher place or no position in the league where there's more of a spotlight than being a goalie for the Leafs, right? And I know you getting your first call up this past year when you guys were in Pittsburgh, team wasn't playing as well, and you get called up in your first game. You're going up against, I want to say, was it Crosby or Malkin? One of the two were out that game, but the other one was still
Crosby
playing.
was out. Yeah,
Crosby was out, but Malkin was still playing. All the all-stars and Hall of Famers they have on that Pittsburgh team. How did that experience compare to what you envisioned it to be? Was it more pressure than you felt it would be? Was it easier to deal with than you felt it would be? The lead up to the game, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I thought I was getting an easy night when Crosby was off the lineup.
Right.
Definitely not. Yeah, I mean, it was different. I mean, obviously you get a lot of messages and stuff like this leading up, and it's a whole new team that you're with, even though been in the organization, and they're different way how they do things. And yeah, I feel like I was a little uncomfortable, definitely, like other than a regular season game with the Marlies. But when the puck dropped, I actually felt pretty normal. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just, I don't think pressure got to me or anything like that. I was just trying to enjoy it. And just the whole experience was fun, and try to keep it as normal as I could.
Did you set like a goal for yourself heading into the game? I don't know if like going into like your regular games with the Marlies, if you have like milestones you try to hit per game. Obviously you want to win and get a shot at each game, but like what were your expectations of yourself heading into that game, like making your NHL debut?
No, I think just like any other game, you're just trying to be prepared well, and when the puck drops, you feel your best and be ready, and in that way help the team to win. So I was just trying to focus on doing what I usually do, and getting ready for the game. And when the puck dropped, that's how I felt. And the first period was good. There's some, at least the first couple shots were a little easier shots to kind of get the butterflies flying a little bit. So yeah, but there's no like set goals or anything, just trying to enjoy it and play my game and play my best. So
yeah, in your mind, what stuck out the most, like differences playing in an NHL game versus an AHL game from like the hockey perspective? Like, was it the speed? Was it the size of the guys? Like what stuck out the most that was most different for you, or maybe caught you the most off guard?
I don't think in a single game you can see it too much, but obviously the guys are very skilled. They can, like the passing is better, and how fast they pass, and they can handle all the passing. So that makes them that much more dangerous. And even in the AHL, there's a lot of good shooters, but then in the NHL, everybody can shoot well, and they almost know what the goalie is going to do. So it sometimes feels like they're one step ahead, but definitely like they do all the things right, and there's a lot of traffic in front of the net, and just a skill level. There's not a whole lot of missed opportunities with those guys.
Yeah, you really got to be on top of your game. And I know you didn't just get called up for one day and got sent down. I know you got to spend some time with the Leafs and some time around time around Freddie. What was the biggest takeaway that you took from that whole experience that you took back and applied to your game afterwards, being around the Leafs? I guess it would have been around Babcock and Keefe at that time, but more importantly, Freddie as well. Like, what were the main takeaways?
I think just kind of getting comfortable up there and with those guys, and seeing them in practice and getting confident and that you can regularly stop those guys. And, so that took a little bit, but yeah, I mean, it was definitely a confidence booster being called up and playing my first game, and just trying to work hard in practice and gain confidence that way. And yeah, obviously it was bummed out a little bit to be sent back down, but just trying to, work on my game every day and to get back up there.
Yeah, and obviously the game against the Penguins didn't go as planned, but I got to imagine, like you said, confidence being the biggest takeaway, even being given that opportunity and knowing that you belong on an NHL team, on an NHL roster, that almost no matter how the game goes, it's got to be a baseline level of confidence boost there as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was one of those, like, a lifelong dream and goal achieved pretty much when the puck dropped. So, and I'm happy about the way it came. It wasn't like there was a couple injuries and then you get thrown in the third period and stuff like that. So I feel like I earned my call up and with my game, and then earned a start. Like, first game was a start. So that was kind of how I wanted it to happen. So yeah, definitely kind of like getting rewarded for all the hard work.
I remember when that call up happened, me being a personal Leafs fan, spending a bit of time like on Twitter or social media, whatever, looking at the different Leafs stuffs, and everybody would say like, "Oh, is this the Kaskisuo era? Like, is the Kaskisuo era starting with the Leafs and stuff like that?" And when you hear things like that happening, like how I gotta imagine that just such a surreal thing to hear that the Kaskisuo era is beginning with the Leafs, right? Like, what is your reaction when you hear things like that? Does it like it's got to be like one of those moments where it's like so surreal?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really look at too much stuff, but that sounds like typical Leafs Twitter. But yeah, I mean, if 2 weeks is an era, then I guess it was. But no, I mean, obviously it's better than hearing that, no, not this guy or anything, stuff like that. So yeah, and I mean, in the end, it's the management's decisions and what's best for the team, and I'm just happy I got my game and move on.
I want to get a bit more in depth on your own kind of personal pregame routine, because I think that's one of the most important parts of being a goalie. I know a lot of goalies kind of do a lot of visualization or mental imagery or whatever it may be before a game. So walk me through what that's looking for you at the moment. How far before the game you start really mentally preparing for it from like a visualization perspective, if you do that at all?
I think the visualization comes maybe like just a little bit before going on the ice, before each period. And but I think at the start of each season, you're kind of like more like tense and more focused for longer periods before the game, like kind of the whole day. And then usually like I try to like relax as much as I can. And by the end of the season, usually just not really focus on the game. And because usually that's I feel like I feel better physically when I'm, relaxed and happy and joking around and doing all that stuff. And I feel like it's still like the couple minutes before the puck drops, it gives me enough time to like really dial it in. But yeah, I like when I'm relaxed and my body feels better, and I feel like there's no like, I don't know how to describe it, but like clouds in my head almost. Like everything's that much clearer, and you can see you're not like tunnel vision almost. And
you got that like flow state where it's just everything's just like so natural almost.
Yeah, like you practice and you're having fun. So that's kind of what I try to achieve, that when I'm on the ice in a game, like just play like you practice and feel relaxed, because that's when you notice everything and you're loose and you allow yourself to make saves and move the way you need to. So I think that's kind of with age that comes too. So I remember younger, I used to be really, really dialed in and not talk to anyone. But yeah, the more experience you have, you just kind of try to be relaxed.
Yeah, relax and enjoy, because if you're not having fun, then you're probably not going to be performing at your best potential. And I like how you mentioned there how you try to play like you practice. And for me personally, within the past couple of years, I kind of been taking tennis more seriously. And I found that it was so hard for me to transition from practice to game. Like I would play one way in practice, and in a game, I would kind of tense up or freeze up and not play as well as I could. And the kind of key indicator that I found to fix that was to make my practices almost like a game, whether it's like attaching points in practice or being super competitive in practice. And I got to imagine that's another kind of positive that comes from your time, not only back in November when you got called up to the Leafs, but your time with them in the bubble now, is getting used to that competitiveness that you guys have in practice. Just kind of gets you used for if any game scenario that comes up, so that you've already experienced these scenarios kind of in practice, right? So when you experience them in a game, it's kind of like you're more comfortable with them.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, in practice, the mindset should be that you're not letting any goals, because in the game you don't want to let in any goals. So just fight for every puck and battle every rebound out. And we the nice thing is that we usually have quite a bit of like mini games going on, and like the goalie coach is trying to say like do some breakaways at the end, and like there's a competition of like if the skaters score this amount they win, or if you save this many that you win. So like there's always that competition aspect, but like in practice you're still having fun and joking around with those guys you're competing against. So I feel like that's the big key for me to bring that into games.
Yeah, you talked a bit about their kind of your earlier time in your career playing goalie more as like a child or as a kid, and I wanted to kind of get a sense. Obviously, you're from Finland. How hard of a decision it was to leave Finland and come to, I guess it was the States at that time, to play hockey. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly at what age you moved from Finland to North America, but just walk me through that kind of decision-making process, because I think it's such a hard decision. I would have trouble. Me living in Hamilton, I'd have trouble moving from Hamilton to Toronto, an hour away for a job, right? I couldn't imagine going across the Atlantic Ocean for a job.
Yeah, I think I was just turning 20 when I moved over the first time. It was going to be my last year of juniors, and things weren't really working out for me in Finland. I was kind of stuck as the backup in like the junior team there. And so some of the friends I used to play with were the only Finnish players in college hockey at the time. And I had no idea what college hockey really was and didn't think much of it. And then they kind of showed me what it was, and I got excited about that and felt like the path for me to try out on. But I didn't really have anything to show for it back in Finland. So
that's a huge risk that you took then.
Yeah, I had to make I figured if I stay as a backup for one more year, I could probably go into like second or third level in Finland, like after that. Yeah, I mean, I always wanted to come to North America and play hockey. That was always kind of the dream. So at that time, it wasn't an easy decision at all. It was the one that just was pretty much the only decision. So came over, played juniors, because I would not have gotten into any D1 schools at the time. So yeah, so it all kind of took off from there.
Yeah, that's a crazy, like, just thinking about that right now, like a crazy change in trajectory of your career. Like you said, you were kind of on the path of going Division 2 or Division 3 in Finland, to going to D1 at Minnesota Duluth, going to the Marlies, going to the Leafs. Like that's such a huge change in trajectory in your career, but it only happens because you took that risk, right? Of moving from Finland to the States. Who were the most influential or important people at that time that kind of helped make that transition easy for you? Family, friends, whoever it may be.
I kind of got was gonna call like teams myself, like junior teams in the North American Hockey League. I was one day away from emailing the teams myself, but then like a coach's friend kind of like said like, hey, you should probably have an agent, like have my son's agent like call you, and hooked up with him, and then he like took it over pretty much and reached out to some teams. And so it probably could have been a way different situation if I started emailing those teams myself. Right. But yeah, definitely that was a big part, and got my whole family support. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty easy transition.
I have a little game I like to play here in the podcast. I have a collection of sports psychology quotes. I have about 23 of them. Of course, we won't go through all 23, or we'll be here till the next NHL season, whenever that's going to start. But I'll let you pick a number between 1 and 23, and I'll read you the quote, and then just reflect on the quote a bit, how it relates to you as an athlete, you as a goalie, and when it kind of really rings true.
Okay, so I'll go 22.
22. This is from Tim Duncan, legendary Spurs NBA player. He said, the time when there is no one there to feel sorry for you or to cheer for you is when an athlete is made.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of like what kind of we have going on here is that you tell the story to yourself every day, no matter what happens. Like, if it's a hard practice, you decide how you tell that to yourself, and you tell the story to yourself every day about everything that happens. So you can choose to be like, oh, I don't want to do this, it's too hard, or like I'm going to push through it and like get something out of it. So I feel like that kind of relates. Yeah. And then and definitely like being uncomfortable as a goalie. Like there might be times when you're having a bad game, but it's a close game and you still have to perform at the end. So yeah, definitely a lot of aspects in sports kind of wrap around that quote.
Yeah. And that kind of what stuck out to me, thinking about how like no one there to feel sorry for you, to cheer for you. First thing that came to my mind, like you said, was practice. But I think another comparable situation would probably be like your time in the ECHL, where maybe there's not as much media exposure, not as much fans there. Like you're kind of a bit by yourself, right? You're really, I mean, playing for, I guess it was Orlando Solar Bears. Is that what they're called? Yeah, Orlando Solar Bears. Like that's a totally different environment than being around the Toronto Maple Leafs. When you think about number of people around you, number of familiar people around you, I think that's when athletes grow. I don't want to say grow up the most, but they start to see a lot of personal and professional development. Is when in those situations where they're kind of by themselves and they kind of got to fend for themselves and figure out how to get out of here, type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely in that league, that was kind of my goal, is to just trying to get out of there, and that's kind of what it came down to. And no one was there to like give me a free pass, and so there's definitely when I got out of there, I was that much mentally stronger that I was able to handle that and get out of there. So yeah, in a way that helped. So definitely grateful for my time down there, and taught me a lot of things that probably other players who go straight into the NHL don't have to deal with. So
when you think back to your time, like first signing with the Leafs organization and going to Orlando, and now yourself now, is there one aspect of the mental side of your game that you feel like you've improved on the most?
I think just being comfortable playing pro hockey and then trusting your abilities. That's it definitely took a few years. I mean, this year I felt like I've been the most confident in when the game starts, and that I can be a great goalie in this league. And and that shows up in confidence for sure, and being mentally stronger. So, and that's just experience. So, yeah, I've seen a lot, and definitely the first couple of years you had to prove yourself, so you weren't sure if you were good enough. But yeah, with experience comes the confidence, and that's definitely showed this year.
Yeah, the self-doubt can be such a crippling thing to any athlete, not only an NHL goalie, but any athlete, that if there's kind of already any sort of ounce of self-doubt in your mind, I mean, you've probably already lost the game before you even step out there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of where the quote comes from that you said, that you just have to overcome it yourself, and then you learn how to deal with it.
Yeah. Do you have another number between 1 and 23?
We can do 5.
5. This is, I think this will be a super relevant one here as well, but this is from a guy I'm not too fond of, but it's from Tom Brady. But he said, if you don't believe in yourself, why is anyone else going to believe in you?
Yeah, that's true. And one part of it is like when between or in games, like you have to, that's what the coaches always say, like, when you look like you're in control and you're making like hard saves look easy, that just gives the whole team confidence that, okay, like our goalie's got this and he's in the zone. So, but yeah, it's especially in pro sports, it's a tough business, because you can play for 10 years and be great, but then you can have one off year and they'll just replace you with someone else. So
So it's definitely an unforgiving sport. I mean, just thinking back how many goalies or NHL players in general, like you said, have 10, 15-year careers. And as soon as they have one off year, or as soon as they're getting to the last years of their contract, they're getting shipped out, right? Yeah. So it just talks about how you kind of have that confidence in yourself. Even when other people are putting you down, other people aren't believing in you, but you still got to believe in yourself, type of thing, and have that motivation to prove them wrong.
Yeah, for sure. And it's every man for themselves. And
it's I was going to say, especially as a goalie, I mean, that's, I think, one of the positions in the sport where you're probably more by yourself than others, because when you're like a defenseman or a forward, you can go back to the bench, talk to the coach, they can give you tips or whatnot, you can talk to your teammates. But as a goalie, you're kind of in the crease for a majority of the game, right? You don't have that luxury of going to the bench too often.
Yeah, definitely. You have to, you let in a bad goal, you have to figure it out real quick. And I mean, there's always other guys trying to take your job, and so you just you're the CEO of your own company, and so you have to kind of just make sure that you're doing your best every day, and you leave it to no chance.
Yeah. I have, before we wrap up here, we'll do a couple rapid fire questions, end off on a more fun note. Obviously we were all stuck in quarantine for quite a bit, but did you have a show you were binge watching, or a movie that you really liked during quarantine? What stuck out on your Netflix subscription list during that time?
I was at home before coming to Toronto. Obviously, we pretty much had Disney Plus on for our daughter and our toddler. So, a lot of kids movies, Disney, but I think I binge watched pretty much The Outer Banks, the first season. And
okay,
other than that, I haven't really had time to watch anything. It's been, even in the bubble here, it's been pretty busy with practices, and we've had that one game. So, but I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some time, so I'll have to find a show.
Yeah. Growing up, who was kind of an NHL, I'm going to assume it was a goalie, but NHL athlete that you looked up to the most, your idol, sort of say, growing up?
I think Kari Lehtonen always. He played for the same team in Helsinki as I did when I was growing up, and then just from there, pretty much followed his career all the way. So, I'd say he's the he's the main guy.
I don't know in Finland back then when you were growing up how popular the NHL was. Obviously, it was probably somewhat popular with a lot of the Finnish guys that were in the league, like Saku Koivu and whoever it may be. But do you have a favorite retro jersey from when you were a kid, of an NHL jersey that sticks out?
I don't think I had any NHL jerseys, but I think like Teemu Selänne's Mighty Ducks jersey would be like if I got to pick one out of all of them. So I think that's pretty legendary.
Last question here. Obviously, there's 4 goalies in the NHL bubble with the Leafs. You got you, Freddie, Joseph, and Campbell Soup over there. Out of the 4 of you, who would you say has the best fashion sense?
Best fashion sense?
Best dressed. We'll put it that way. Best dressed.
I haven't really seen Soupy, but I think he said he only packed 2 shirts, and other than that, he's going to roll with the Adidas package that we got, team issued. So I think Soupy's out of the question, but Freddie always has some cool Nike stuff on. So I think, and then Joe got a good style as well, and I like to think I got a pretty good style.
We'll call it a 3-way tie then. We'll just leave Soupy out of it, but the other 3 of you, 3-way tie.
Yeah, well, I got to see something from Soupy, like give him a second chance or something.
Yeah, I think it's, I think Freddie, he was hanging around Matthews too much during the off season, so he probably took some of his drip. So he might be running away with it later on.
Yeah, we might have to give it to Freddie just because of that.
Listen, man, I appreciate you taking some time today. I know you guys are super packed. Practice, getting ready for exhibition games, getting ready for your series against Columbus and whatnot. So appreciate you taking some time here for some insight on the mental side of being a goalie and all about your first call up to the NHL. And of course, wish you guys nothing but the best of luck during the playoffs, and excited to see you back in the crease soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, man. Take care, man.
Thanks, you too.